Oh, Carlos. So let's see, maybe I'm going to change. Okay. Denise. I like I like how you named it, Martina, Saladana Live. That's a good name. Yeah, it's funny. That's kind of, I am a little bit embarrassed to admit this, but this is as many people as we've had on Zoom in quite some time, a couple months at least. Well, that's good. Feels supportive and worthwhile. Keep doing it. So I will introduce myself for those of you who are new. My name is Jim, and right now I'm in France. But it's such a privilege to be able to use this technology to visit Saladana virtually. Oh, and then I got my friend Roger. Hello, Roger.
Jim, how are you, man? Good to see you.
Good, you too. I'm gonna mute you though right now. And so I can see some of you. How many of you are completely new to Saladana? Couple people, okay. And anybody new to meditation? First time to meditate? Okay, good. All expertos with beginner's mind. So for those of you who don't know, the way we normally do a Sunday session is we sit for 30 minutes, sometimes 31, 32 minutes. I'll do some guiding, but mostly we're in silence to practice. And after the meditation, usually have a period for some questions and answers, hopefully answers, definitely questions, or anybody wants to share. And then maybe a little Dharma talk. And then just in the last couple sessions, we've been having a 10-minute break to either do walking meditation, or you could use the bathroom or just have a stretch. And we'll do that again today. And then today I have a couple announcements, some classes that I think are quite interesting. They're calling my attention that I'd like to mention. They're during the week. One's on Monday, one's on Thursday. So maybe talk a little bit about those as well. So on the meditation, it's funny. Normally I lead this in a way where we try to focus our minds for 20 minutes on a single object, either the body, the breath, sounds, with the idea of calming the mind, practicing samadhi or samatha. And then we open it up. That is, we open up our awareness to a more open awareness, a more choiceless awareness, more of a practice of vipassana. But what's kind of funny is I actually do it the opposite in my daily practice. I start off with a very open awareness. And then as time goes on, I tend to concentrate it to more of a single object. And I'm not the only one who does it this way. But it is kind of interesting how I lead normally this Sunday afternoon, the opposite of that. So I thought this time, let's try the way I do it. And there's a certain, logic to it. where when we come in, right, to sit, and, after possibly a busy day, a busy week, to then immediately try to focus it on one thing, that can be quite challenging, quite difficult, right? The mind is got a tendency going. It's sort of on a roll of being scattered and thinking about a lot of different things. And so maybe it's even more difficult to get concentrated that way after a busy Sunday than it would be to start off open, allow the thoughts to come, and then over time, and when I mean time, like, minutes, seconds, we start to narrow the focus as we can. Because one of the main obstacles to our meditation practice is if we're fighting with our minds, if we're fighting with how our minds are in that moment. And if our mind has got a lot of things going on, to then want it to be concentrated, we're just going to get into this conflict with it. And that isn't going to yield, the results that we want. But if we just kind of allow it to be the way it is, and then slowly nudge it, encourage it to center, to focus, to become still, hopefully we won't have that conflict. Anyway, this is how I do it. And so I thought we'd give it a try, and it's all an experiment, right? It's all a practice. It's not a perfect. So we'll see what happens. By a show of hands, is there anybody who doesn't want to do it this way, or is objecting, or has a question? You can raise your hand. And if you do have your own practice, by all means, do if if you like what you have and you want to do it that way, do it that way. So if no questions, I will set our timer for 30 minutes. Should put this right here. Okay, here we go. So, starting off with a comfortable yet erect posture. You want your back to be straight. You want your head to be centered in such a way that you're not struggling to keep your head up. You don't want to be leaning too far forward, nor do we want to be leaning too far backwards. We want to be nicely balanced in our bodies, and then in our hip cage area, the cradle, you might say, of our torso, sitting either on a chair or a cushion. If you are on a chair, you want your knees to be higher than your hips to be higher than your knees as well on a cushion, because that'll give a natural curve to that cradle, and the spine will just rest there. And maybe I don't give enough emphasis on posture, but it is very important that we have a comfortable, stable posture. Again, just like we don't want to fight with our minds, we don't want to fight with our bodies either. We want everything to be easeful, harmonious. So we find that comfortable, stable, erect posture. And so this time, let's just start with an open awareness. Just allow your mind to observe whatever calls it. Nudging it towards the body, nudging it towards experiencing or feeling or observing the body. But if it's got some things it needs to think or some other attention it needs to make, allow it to do that and then nudge it gently towards the body, the whole body, whatever's alive in the body. Now, if you're pretty concentrated, or maybe your mind was not too distracted, you may notice sensations in the body. They might be sensations of tingling, hormigueos, cosquilleos, or you might notice where the body is making contact with something, the chair, the cushion, the floor, other body parts. Just keep this open awareness, including the body, including sensations. Noticing thoughts when they arise, sounds when they arise, sensations when they arise, inviting everything, like the Rumi poem. They're all visitors anyways. Maybe you're naturally drawn to the breath because you use the breath in your meditation. That's perfectly okay. Noticing the breath, noticing its journey through the body. Maybe there are emotions, sentimientos in the body, or maybe stress or tension or excitement. Just allowing them to be, noticing them without pushing them away, wanting to change them. If you can, allow your attention to just rest in the field of sensation of the body. It might even seem like it's bigger than the body, covering an area outside of the body. Like our energy field. So if you can, just resting in that, resting your attention, resting your awareness, not trying to do anything, change anything, just being aware of whatever's there. And maybe there's not much, it's okay, then you're just aware of not much. So now let's narrow the focus a bit and find the breath. Could be the entire route of the breath, from the nostrils, through the chest, through the belly. Could also be the body breathing, the posture breathing. The movement of the body as it breathes. So focus in on the rhythm of the body breathing. And now, as thoughts arise, or sounds, or images, or other distractions, now we let them go. We notice, and then we release them, let them go, and we come back to the rhythm of the breath, the body breathing. If that was a little too soon, and there's still a lot of thought, a lot of attention to one thing or another by the mind, just open your awareness again. Allow the thought to do its thing, play out. once it's finished, and come back to the rhythm of the breath. Now I invite you, if you're willing, to pick one spot where the breath is most obvious to you or easiest to notice or even pleasant to notice. So this might be the nostrils, the upper lip, could be the chest, the movement of the chest, and it could be the belly, the movement of the belly. Narrowing our focus just a little bit more, where we pick one spot to follow the breath, to experience the breath. And this becomes our home base, our anchor. And for most of the rest of the meditation, we'll just keep coming back to this one spot. Now, if that's a little too intense, you can always broaden again the awareness, open the awareness back up, go with the rhythm, go with the body, go with whatever arises. If you're a little sleepy, this is the way to go also, is with the narrow focus. We just pick a spot, follow the breath right there, keep coming back to that same spot. As the breath can sometimes seem sort of normal or boring or something, we want to bring curiosity to the breath. We want to bring an open mind to the breath. So maybe you notice the different parts of the breath, the inhalation, the exhalation, the pause or stillness between the exhalation and the inhalation. See if you can distinctly see these different parts or aspects of the breath. Maybe noticing which is longer or shorter. Is your breath deep or shallow, fast or slow? Without judgment, just discernment, you might say. And if you have to focus on just one aspect Focus on the exhalation. You can even wait for the exhalation to come. This is usually where the mind will wander, is during the exhalation as the body is relaxing. The mind gets a little nervous when we relax, and it'll think. Don't worry about how many times you have to come back to the breath. That's not important. What's important is that we come back. This builds the mental muscle. This builds the mental pathway. It becomes easier and easier to come back and easier to stay. Oh, very good. Now let's finish up as we often do. Let's come back to the body. Just find your body after being with just the breath. Might notice it feels a little different. Could be pain even in the body or body parts, sleeping. We just notice, we just feel it, experience it. And then bringing your awareness to your heart center, to your chest area. I often put my hands there just to create a little sensation with the contact. And then acknowledging your practice, the goodness of your practice. Maybe thanking yourself for doing this. I know it's not easy to sit like this and take time out of your day, but it's probably the most helpful thing I can think of that we can do for our own well-being and the well-being of all. And with that well-being, imagining that you can radiate it out, including everybody at Saladana and on this call today, thanking them for their practice, the goodness of their practice, the support that creates practicing in a group, in a sangha, and then radiating out this goodwill in all directions, touching on all life. When you hear the sound of the bell, just noticing what comes up, any thoughts, any feelings, pushing away nothing. Thank you all very much for your practice and practicing with us. I'm kind of curious for those of you who come on every Sunday and join us, how this approach was compared to the way we normally do it. Definitely would love to hear any feedback. Anybody's willing? Nobody, I will call on somebody. Lara, for instance.
I found it a bit challenging because my brain was quite busy today.
Mhm.
I had my mind, so I'm used to the other format, so it's like I found it hard to come back to something that I didn't know so well, although it's just a difference in the order.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's good to know. So when even if your mind is kind of busy, going straight to the breath or straight to the body as an anchor works for you, huh? Better. Okay.
Yep.
Good. Thank you. That's helpful. Anyone else like to comment? Or Carlos, how about for you? How was it?
So it was a nice approach. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I was struggling today with other circumstances. So being in a different setting, having a different weekend in general, but it was a nice experience. It was nice. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, well, over the last couple weeks, we have been talking about thought a lot and talking about the inner critic, that voice that we all seem to have that wants to judge or wants to criticize or just doesn't seem accepting of things as they are. At the end of last week, we talked about self or not self, anatta, and especially for Lara, but for all of us, it just so happens that Gaia House, one of their teachers, a Finnish person whom I don't know, but he is going to put on a 7 Monday class on European time on anatta, on not self. And I think I'm quite tempted to join it. And so at the end, I'll bring up the page. But I wanted to just talk a little bit more about it and not, get too involved in it, because it's definitely a 7-week course. I mean, it's such a big topic. But it's also so useful, okay? And just as kind of a summary, so Buddhism, if one were to ask the Buddha, what do you do? What do you teach? And many people did ask him that, and it's in the suttas many times. He says, I only taught or only teach one thing. Of course, then he says 2 things, but I only teach one thing. I teach suffering and the end of suffering. Right, so really, I guess the one thing is the end of suffering. That was his gig. It wasn't really about being enlightened. It wasn't about emptiness. It wasn't about nibbana. It was about the cessation of suffering of human beings. And all of the teachings of the Buddha are in service of that one thing, reducing and hopefully ending our suffering. And so every little teaching, including meditation, these types of things are designed to reduce our suffering, either through, and I'm going to bring up the Noble Eightfold Path here just so we can see it. Hold on one second. Pretty sure I have it at hand. Do I? Let's see. Hopefully that's visible. Is that visible, the list? Okay. So this is the path called the Noble Eightfold Path that the Buddha offered that would lead to the cessation of suffering. It's the 4th noble truth of the 4 noble truths. The first noble truth being that there is suffering, the second being that there is a cause, third being that there is a cessation, and the 4th is how to do it. So every one of these are designed to reduce our suffering. Starting with the very first one, which is a right understanding or a right view, that we see things clearly. Going all the way through to the final one, which is what we did, right concentration, sama samadhi. And they work in like a loop, so that the more concentration we have, or some people don't like the word concentration, they prefer stillness, which I kind of do as well. Stillness, samadhi can easily mean stillness as it can mean concentration. It's open to interpretation, right? Translation. So the more the mind is still and not ruminating, not thinking, the easier it is to see things as they really are. So we go back to right view. And the idea really isn't, it isn't like you do these 8 steps and then you're done. You keep doing them. And maybe they're not even in this order. Now, some of these in the middle, we call these the ethical ones, the moral ones, the sita, or sila, are thought, resolve, and intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, not thought, but speech, action, and livelihood. Those 3, the idea being that if we are careless in our words, if we are harsh in our words, if we lie, our mind is not going to settle. It's not going to get still. We're going to be worrying about what we said. We're going to feel guilty about what we said. We're going to constantly, like if you're a compulsive liar, like I have no idea how Trump did it. He pulled this off, just lying constantly. But, you got to remember, okay, what did I say? In order to continue with the lie. I mean, there's a whole range of things just within this third one, right speech, that would prevent our mind from being still. Absolutely make it impossible. But the more gentle we become with our speech, the more kind we become with our speech, the more honest we become with our speech, the more the mind will settle. They just work together, right? Same thing with action. So these are kind of specific, but with action, what is it? This is kind of how the sutras are written. Well, we abstain from killing, hopefully, and in Buddhist thought, this includes killing animals, even insects. We abstain from stealing, and we abstain from sexual misconduct. So these are 3 core actions that we all can do in our lives that will help still the mind, calm the mind, even create a little bit of bliss, right? When you're not doing anything to harm anybody, when you are blameless, it creates what we call the bliss of blamelessness, right? You could think, God, I haven't done anything to harm anybody or anything, today. God, that is so great. Versus, oh God, I said this to that person and I stole that from that store or, whatever, which is just going to preoccupy the mind, make it impossible for the mind to still. And then they added this, and this is, was appropriate at the time of the Buddha, but how we make our money, right? I mean, do you sell weapons? Hopefully not. If you sold weapons, then you would not be considered practicing right livelihood. Same as if you were selling human beings. You don't want to do that. Meat. So also, this one kind of extends into the animal realm. Alcohol. So if you're a bartender, I mean, it's not such a horrible thing to be a bartender, but it's very possible that what you're serving people is not serving them, really. And nor poison. Obviously, these are a little archaic, but in modern day world, and hopefully there's nobody who works for like Facebook or Instagram, but if you ask me, that is not right livelihood, because those platforms harm people. There was even a report, I don't know if it leaked or whatever, out of Facebook, that they did a study within Facebook, and they found out that 1/3 of all teenage women on Instagram feel worse about themselves because of Instagram. And of course, the joke is that, what does Facebook want to do about it? Well, nothing, because they make a lot of money. But to me, that doesn't fall within right livelihood. And with those moral teachings, they're designed to help us still the mind, so that when you sit down, you're not thinking about all these things that you might have done that weren't very helpful. In fact, could have been a lot worse. That might have even been harmful. And then the last 3 are about our practice. They're about meditation. which again is in service of having the right view, seeing things as they really are, seeing that there is suffering in the world, seeing that there's a reason that there's suffering, and understanding that there is a sensation, there's a path, there's a way out of it. But the second one, right resolve or thought or intention, it's being resolved on renunciation. Now this is, for us in the West, this is kind of hard to get because we're more into collecting things, right? We're more into having more. It's like, okay, if I've got, one nice outfit, I want two, and then I want a nice pair of boots, and, and then pretty soon I need a nice car so I can go on a date, and, and you just keep adding and adding and adding until pretty soon we have plenty, more than we need. Freedom from ill will, on harmlessness, right? So we don't want to harm. We want to be kind. We want to be careful. Somebody, I think one of my teachers called it carefulness, right? We want to practice carefulness rather than harmfulness. We want to practice carefulness. So this path, this Noble Eightfold Path, is designed to support a reduction and hopefully a cessation in suffering. And for some, some very lucky, I guess, few, they'd reached a point where they were able to let go of the clinging, because really the core of it is clinging, tanha, they call it, craving or thirst. You might even think of it as a thirst, where we just need more. I need more. Or if we have something we don't want, the thirst is to not have it. But it's a constant battle with things as they are. And if we could just get in harmony with and just accept things as they are and stop craving for things to be different than they are, then we would suffer less. And there are some people who have been able to just let it go and they don't suffer at all. These are people who we consider them to be enlightened, like the Buddha, awake, fully awake. They still go about their lives. They still have errands. They still got to brush their teeth, but they don't suffer, right? Now, tying it back to this anatta, this not self, this is about clinging to self or clinging to identity view of I am my body, I am this mind, worse, I am these thoughts, right? My beliefs, these types of things cause us to suffer. And the Buddha and many people since the Buddha go to great lengths to show us that we are not these things. And one simple way, especially with thoughts, to see how thoughts are not us is if they were, we would think what we want to think, right? We would not think probably 99% of the thoughts we have because they suck, right? I mean, they're not useful normally. They're harsh. They're repetitive. I think the number is something like 90-something% of the thoughts we have today, we had yesterday. So they're just a waste of time, really. So if we had more control over our thoughts, maybe we could then say, okay, these are mine, right? I'm able to control them. So therefore, they're me and they're mine. But try it. Give it a try. Maybe you can control your thoughts for a moment, but it won't last. And, and then so it's like, okay, well, what is the self then? In Buddhist philosophy, it's empty. It's like, it's a coming together of causes and conditions that are together for some period of time, that are in flux, that are reacting to world events and life events and so forth. And then it ends. And I was watching this YouTube video of I think he was a physicist or some smart guy, philosopher or whatever. And he kind of related it to a rope that has many strands of thread, where any one thread really isn't much, easy to break or whatever, but together they form a rope, something that's strong. And arguably one could look at it that way, that that's kind of our self for a while, and all these different strands are like our personality, our belief, our body, the various kind of components. But when you take it apart, there's no self there. There's no rope. Once you've just got a bunch of strands of thread, you do not have a rope. Kind of the same idea, I think, with the self in Buddhist philosophy. When you take it apart, there's no self there. And this could hold true and does hold true with anything. You take anything apart and it's just its parts. And you could just keep right on getting down to things like molecules and atoms and stuff, which I'm not sure the Buddha knew exactly about those, but they had an intuition that things were made of other things, right? And they weren't really as they seem. And so I want to make sure we can have time to do our walking meditation. I'm going to end just with this piece. So once we achieve right view, that first of the Eightfold Path, right understanding that there isn't a substantive self that lasts forever, that is going to be, go to heaven or is going to be reborn or whatever, that it is just this empty, temporary coming together of causes and conditions. Hopefully we let go. We release it. We don't cling to it. We accept that it ages, the body. We accept that it gets sick, and we accept that it dies. That's a whole nother topic, just talking about death, where we can prepare for it now, right? We can come to terms with it. We've talked about this because it's going to happen. It's inevitable. This body is going to end. And so we let go. And that's what brings the freedom. That's what brings the freedom in the end of our suffering, is the letting go. It's not necessarily knowing, oh, there's not a self intellectually. That may or may not bring you some solace, but more importantly, that you understand it in a way so you don't cling. You let go. That's the idea. And all those are in service of this, of letting go. And it doesn't mean we just let go and then we sit on the couch and we do nothing for the rest of our lives, because it doesn't work like that. We still have to act as if, right? We still have to go about our day. But boy, you go about your day without clinging, without expectation, right? It's just so much more pleasant. I like really just expectations. That's such a wonderful way of looking at it. It's like if we expect that this body is not going to age, or we expect that this mind is not going to have stupid thoughts or critical thoughts or judgmental thoughts, or to expect that our mind is not going to think during meditation. This is completely unrealistic, right? So the problem is not that there are thoughts. The problem is that there's an expectation that there don't be thoughts, that there won't be thoughts. And this is something we can work with. We just try to let go of those expectations, let go of that wanting, let go of that craving, let go of that clinging, and then let it happen. Yeah, you might sit for 30 minutes and think the whole time. And that could be fine, unless you didn't want it to be so. And then that was a terrible meditation. Or it's like, yeah, I sat for 30 minutes, thought the whole time. Oh, well, maybe next time. It's just a different way of relating, right? Okay, more on this, more and more. So how about we have a little say 8 minute walking meditation break, and it would, but also if you need to use the services, the toilet or whatever, feel free. But for those of you who are new to walking meditation, so what we're going to do is we're going to pick a distance of, let's say, 2 meters, maybe 3, and we have no destination. We're just going to walk slowly to that end of that 2 meters or whatever, mindfully turn around and walk back. Our attention, you could have it on the breath, but for this one, I would suggest that you have it in your feet and feel the feet making contact with the floor, or maybe feel the movement of the legs as they make contact with the floor. Now, if you're really feeling kind of centered and concentrated, you could unify the walking with the breath. So maybe you take a breath with an inhale, take a breath with an exhale, breath with an inhale, breath with an exhale. But the idea is to be present. And again, when thoughts come, and they will, absolutely will, sometimes for some people, walking creates even more thought, planning or whatever. Same thing, we just try to let them go. Some people even say, stop. When the thoughts come, stop walking, let them go, start walking again. You don't need to do it that way, but I find it kind of helpful. Okay, so I'll set the timer and we'll walk for 8 minutes, and then we'll come back, I'll ring the bell. Thank you all. Thank you for coming back. My mind always thinks that people will just keep right on walking, like right out the door. We'll come back. Okay, we have a few minutes. And what I wanted to do is bring up on the share screen the page about the Anatta class at Gaia House, and then also a Noble Eightfold Path class that's put on by my friend Francisco Gable in Spanish that will be on Thursdays. That one is actually coming up at the end of the month. This other one starts in October. So let me just show you guys. Nope, well, maybe I'll do this one first since I brought it up first. So some of you, I'm sure, have heard of Bhikkhu Analayo. And he's come to Spain a couple times. He speaks Spanish as well as, I don't know, 7 other languages or something. And then Francisco, this gentleman here, is one of his students, as well as a student of Gil Fronsdale, an amazing teacher out of California. And I think this might even be his 3rd course, for sure a 2nd, because I've taken one from him on Thursday. And so this will be about the Eightfold Path, but actually even a little bit more, because Bhikkhu Analayo is a scholar, and he can read Chinese, he can read Pali, he can read Sanskrit, and he's in Tibetan, and he goes to the original documents to try to see what does early Buddhism say, what do they agree on. And he has really revolutionized a lot of the teachings. He lives out at the Barry, what is it called? The Barry School of Buddhist Studies, or Barry Center of Buddhist Studies, which is right next to IMS, Insight Meditation Society, where Joseph Goldstein, Sharon Salzberg, and them, where they teach. He's in that same collection of buildings. So you get even more than what the average teacher is gonna impart to you. And this one, so it starts on September 30. Looks like it goes directly through October, and then 2 weeks in November, 2 weeks in December. It's going to be in Spanish time, Spain time, not the Canaries, Carlos, but in the in Madrid, between 6 and 8 p.m. Now there is an inscription of 150 euros that goes to the University of Zaragoza, which helped put it on. If anybody is interested, but they're having a financial problem, please talk to me, because something can be worked out for sure. So what I was thinking I would do on the Saladana website, I'll put a link to this page so that you guys, if you are interested, I'm almost for sure going to do it, in part just to make sure that I can continue to speak some Spanish. So I'm doing it in part for the Spanish, but also because I like Francisco and I like his teachings. All right, let's see. The other one, whoops, let's see, is right here. Okay. So this is the one about anatta or not self put on by Gaia House. The Monday evening starting October 18th, going through, wow, it's almost the same dates. That would be, it'd almost be like going back to school, right? We'd have a Monday class in English on anatta and a Thursday class. That'd be fun, huh? Let's do it.
Jim,
Yes.
we're seeing a protected valley screen. I don't know if this is what you want to show.
Oh no, did I mess up? Sorry about that. How about now? Do you see Gaia House? Okay. I hope you didn't see something like my bank account numbers or something. Okay, I'm gonna start over. So here's the Gaia House offering. Monday evenings, October 18th through November 29th, with this teacher who founded the, I think the Finnish Insight Meditation Group. I don't know him, but anyway, there's a series of stuff here. It's gonna be on Zoom. Let's see, does it have the hours? Oh, where are the hours? Oh, here it is. Here it is. 7 to 9. That would be British time. So what is that? They're an hour behind, right? So it'd be 6 to 8. I think it's exactly this. No, the other way. Oh, the other way. 8 to 10. So hopefully it won't be too late, but so 8 to 10. And I'll also put a link. You know, I'll put it on the Dhamma Madrid website, not Saladana. I'm going to put it on dhammamadrid.org. dhammamadrid.org. I'll put links to both of these there. Yeah, okay. So I don't know. I think it'd be kind of fun to go back to school. I'm probably going to do both if I can. It sounds fun. Let's see, was there anything else? Yes, I want to talk about our classes at Saladana, because especially for those of you who can go presencial, we've got something pretty much almost every day now. So Monday in Spanish with Chema, Tuesday with the Triatna group, also in Spanish, Wednesday with David in Spanish, Thursday in English with Martina, and occasionally Carlos when Martina is not around. Friday, the Thich Nhat Hanh group is now meeting. Saturday, we have Jose Martin, who's doing a morning intensive, which is great. And then Sunday, we have during the day, Isabel, and then of course, this class now. So yeah, lots of opportunity. Is there anybody who would like to say something, share something, offer something? Maybe Carlos, did I forget anything?
No, that was very complete.
Okay, good.
You can talk about Dana if you want.
Yeah, well, first, why don't we do a little quick, if you don't mind, metta meditation to close us out, take us out. Is that okay? So for those of you who are new to metta, this particular meditation, at the beginning, we use phrases or wishes of goodwill to ourselves and others. And we normally close out our group on Sundays with a little metta practice to ourselves, to a benefactor, somebody you love, to somebody you're having a little problem with, and then all beings. So why don't we finish with this? So I'll offer some phrases and then you can repeat them mentally to yourself. Starting with I, starting with ourselves. May I be happy. May I be well. May I be safe. May I live with ease. And now for a benefactor, that is somebody you just love unconditionally or look up to unconditionally. Imagine that being in front of you or with you. May you be happy. May you be well. May you be safe. May you live with ease. And now the difficult being, the difficult person. So somebody where maybe you have a little resentment or a little hurt, nothing too grave. Maybe somebody didn't call you and they said they would, or said something that hurt your feelings. May you be happy. May you be well. May you be safe. May you live with ease. And now all beings in all directions without exceptions. May all beings be happy. May all beings be well. May all beings be safe. May all beings live with ease. And then ending our session in the tradition of renunciation. In this case, letting go of or renouncing, giving up the teachings, our Buddha nature, our Sangha or community, giving this up to all beings. May all beings be happy and peaceful, healthy and strong, safe and protected. May all beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering, free from war and violence and discrimination, racism, and free from coronavirus and all its forms. And may all beings find their path, find their factors, their steps, their ways to the end of suffering. May all beings be free. Thank you all. And yeah, as Carlos mentioned, just a reminder, I know most of you are aware that at Saladana, we're experimenting with doing everything according to the teachings of the Buddha when it came to money. And that is, we offer everything freely from our hearts, do it out of generosity, hence the word dana, which means giving in Pali and in Sanskrit. And so there'll never be a charge for anything at Saladana. And at the same time, you can also practice, especially those of you who are actually there, you can practice dana by leaving a financial donation of whatever feels right for you. There's a couple boxes in the front. When I'm leading the group, I ask that you just put it in the Saladana box, but when other teachers are present, I really encourage you to consider them because, you know, they rely on the donations to pay their bills. And in Saladana's case, we have an air conditioning problem. It looks like it's going to set us back a little bit, but anyways, whatever you can leave is always appreciated. And if you could also help clean up. And yeah, I think that's it. I want to thank Martina for co-hosting and doing such a beautiful job. I like the camera angle. Very nice. Carlos is in the Canaries, right? You're in, yeah. I'm very glad you're able to. Is it hot there? Or, oh, I'm glad you're.
Moist, much more humid than Madrid.
I bet, yeah. Being surrounded by sea, right? That is all. Is there anybody who wants to say anything? If not, we'll end the meeting. I want to thank Bert for coming for the first time all the way from Germany. And then we have Lara from Italy, and Julieta came back from Korea, but now she's in Madrid. So very international. Good to see you again. Okay, hope to see you next week. Keep practicing. Buena práctica.
Thank you. Have a great week.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks, Lara.